Hello everyone, I'm Aditya Mehta and you are listening to Personality Development Podcast.
I always believe that whatever you learn, if you impart those learning to the people, it always help you to grow as a person, and also it is beneficial for the society.
You sometimes have that sort of expectation that even other people are for me, okay, or they would be there for me. Now, sometimes that doesn't happen, okay.
Absolutely.
So you try to understand everyone, but no one is able to understand you.
So some people need validation for what they do. I do not need or seek validation. I'm happy for the fact that if I'm helping someone, they are happy. So my happiness lies in their happiness, nothing in return.
Being a corporate employee, okay, it's difficult to start a new company, okay, and for a middle class people like us, okay,
Absolutely.
it's more than difficult, okay, because you have to look after your family, okay, and also you want to do something in your life, you want to grow a business, okay. So doing these two things hand in hand, it's not an easy task, okay, both.
Absolutely.
Emotionally, I mean, all the three aspects, if I would say, then emotionally, socially, and financially, it's difficult.
Social media is a medium which is very unpredictable at times. It is completely algorithm driven, and the algorithm keep on changing. So first thing is we need to understand what we need, what is our goal, and how we can place it as a strategy so that we are achieving the desired result.
A young boy lived in the small village of Khandra, Haryana. He was the eldest of three siblings in a very humble farming family. Like many children, he faced challenges growing up. He was overweight, and this led to teasing and bullying from his peers. His family, concerned for his well-being, encouraged him to take sports. He tried his hands at various activities, but nothing truly clicked. Until one day, he discovered the sport that would change his life forever. It was at the stadium in Panipat where he first picked up a javelin, and something about it just felt right. The connection was instant, and from that moment on, he knew he had found his passion. Fast forward to 2016, this same boy, now a young man, set a world record at a World Under 20 Championships in Poland, hurling the javelin as astonishing 86.48 meters to win the gold medal. But despite his early success, his journey was anything but smooth. He faced numerous setbacks, with injuries threatening to derail his promising career. In 2017, he won gold at Asian Championships. But a year later, a severe elbow injury sidelined him for several months. The injury forced him to miss the entire 2019 season, including the World Championships, casting doubt on whether he could ever return to his best form. But this man was determined. He underwent surgery, committed to rigorous rehabilitation, and came back stronger. And then came the day of August 7, 2021, at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics held in 2021 due to pandemic. He made a history. With a throw of 87.58 meters, he secured a gold medal, becoming the first Indian to win an Olympic medal in athletics and only the second individual to win an Olympic gold for the nation after Abhinav Bindra. And as if that wasn't enough, few days back, he went on to win a silver medal at the Paris 2024 Olympics, despite he was battling with injury. Yes, you have guessed that this extraordinary individual is Neeraj Chopra. You are absolutely right. His success story is a testament to the power of support, determination, and strong positive mindset. He managed to shut out the critics and feed his mind only with positivity, a lesson we all can learn from. And that's precisely what we do here on Personality Development Podcast. Feed your brain the right words and ideas to help you grow and succeed. Hello, everyone. I'm Aditya Mehta, and you are listening to Personality Development Podcast. And in today's episode, we have a fellow podcaster, a remarkable corporate professional who has now founded his own media production company. With sheer determination, he is dedicated to adding value to people's life through his wisdom in life coaching, podcasting, and much more. He is Pijush Singha. So, while I bring him on today's episode, you enjoy this amazing intro music. And if you haven't followed this podcast yet, make sure you do because you don't want to miss out on any of the valuable episodes we have lined up. Here we go. Hello and welcome back to today's episode. And in today's episode, as I've already mentioned, we have Pijush Singha on our show. Hello, Pijush. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm very good, Aditya. Thank you for having me today.
The pleasure is completely mine, dude. I mean, I have seen your profile, and what you do on TopMate is something really extraordinary, helping out all the individuals, helping them to create their first podcast, and helping them to launch, and many more things that you do. And also a detailed in discussion which we had before this podcast episode started. So I believe you do a lot of things, and it's a complete pleasure to have you on this podcast. Although, Pijush, I know what I gave was an introduction like an Instagram picture. Okay, like
Mhm.
everyone likes the picture, but no one knows the backstory of that picture. Okay,
Right.
so if you can give me a detailed introduction about you so that our listeners can enjoy that.
Great, great. Thank you, Aditya, once again. And hello, everyone who is listening to the podcast. First of all, I would definitely like to share that, Aditya is a wonderful host and it's an amazing podcast, personality development podcast. So do subscribe the show and you will get to learn so many things from a lot of guests. They're very insightful conversation. Coming to me, I'm Pijush. I am from a small town, Digboy. It is a small town, but it has a very high name because it has Asia's first refinery, and that's how I introduce myself. That I belong to a place which has the Asia's first refinery, India's oldest refinery. So Digboy refinery is one of that, and I'm born in Digboy, and I have completed my studies here. And after that, I went outside for highest high schools. I hail from Assam. Digboy is from Assam itself. So yeah, that's about me. And I have completed my graduations, masters, everything, and then started with my corporate life. Started off with big brands like IBM, then shifted my base to Hewitt, Aon, People Scout, KPMG, and so on and so forth. But life had a different plan. So last year, I kind of quit everything, came back to my hometown to support my family in terms of few medical situation. But in that process, I also find out some activities which I always took it as a kind of hobby, but I kind of started taking it as a profession, which is like creating podcast, helping people to create content in social media and to scale up their business in short. So that's how we came to the process of creating Social Symphony with my founder friend Neeraj, and that's how we have started doing that. And it's been a wonderful journey so far. Our show Dream with Neeraj is doing fantabulous in YouTube and Spotify. I have my own personal podcast as Audibles of Life. And yes, as Aditya already mentioned, that we have a TopMate page as well, wherein I kind of help people through that process, wherein people book my time and I kind of help them through whatever knowledge that I have, be it life coaching, be it corporate things, and of course, the content thing as well. So that's the brief about myself. Thank you so much, Aditya, for having me once again.
Of course, it's a pleasure. And with a guy who does so many things at once, I believe if I can, take two or three things as well, I'll be a wonderful man for sure. Coming to you, Pijush, I have seen, you doing all these things. Okay, it's a complete, ball mark that you set for yourself that I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. But one thing which I really want to ask that you were in corporates, okay? You have created a media production company, you help people for creating social media content, you create podcasts, and that's all amazing. But how did life coaching came into the picture? I mean, that is something which is completely different from all the things which you are doing. So how did
Absolutely.
that came into it?
Absolutely. So, very good question. And this is something which people often ask me. Um, so, I'm not a trained life coach, I would say, but it is all about the life taught me something and I kind of tried to give it back to the society. I always believe that whatever you learn, if you impart those learning to the people, it always help you to grow as a person, and also it is beneficial for the society. So all the positive things, because we have a lot of negativities around, so I just wanted to contribute in terms of positivity. That is one. Secondly, life coaching, when I say, it is like since my childhood, or you can say like ever since I have this understanding of life, I kind of help people unknowingly. So, understanding the nuances of relationships, or maybe the mental things, how people go through, what are the perspective. Because, see, what a psychologist or a life coach would do is nothing different from what you can do. It is just the perspective which changes, right? You might be looking at things from a different lens, and as a life coach or as a psychologist or as a doctor, or they are trained professionals, of course. So they give you a different perspective. Of course, the
Mm,
doctors have the medication license as well,
yeah.
but it is more of like understanding the life as a totality, which you might not be able to see at this point of time. So when an
Mm,
experienced person give you a perspective, that means, and that could be our parents as well, right? It
right.
happens with us. Whenever
Right.
we fail, we cry, and our parents say that, it's okay, it happens, right?
Mm,
Why they are so chilled out? Because they
mm,
know that it's okay.
yeah.
Because for us, we are looking at things from a very close vision, which is which I say zoom in
Mm,
vision. And when the parents or somebody who is experienced, they see it as a holistic view, zoom out
mm,
vision, so they know exactly what will happen after that,
right.
what will you do. So when you have the ability, or you get into those situations where you learn yourself, and also
Mm,
you in the process help people, then you get that confident, okay, I have some perspective, and let's see, let's give me a try. If somebody is facing any challenges, if I can
mm,
give them that lens. That's how
right.
I have started doing that. Even in my corporate life, a lot of people get stressed out, corporate politics,
Mm,
I'm not getting promoted, why I'm getting a lesser rating, stuff like that.
mm,
And I used to coach them
mm,
in terms of like, why do you think? And it's all about asking the right question. I strongly believe that if you have a very good question, your problem is half solved. A lot of
right.
people do not have those questions ready. So
Mm,
I ask them the questions, and when they answer it, automatically they get more clarity on their life.
right.
And that's how the journey started. And
Mm,
eventually it has started in such a level that I have helped my sister to cope up with a cancer situation. I have helped my family. So it all started from the family. I have helped my, brother to deal with a lot of setbacks in life. My sister to cope up with the cancer. My auntie to cope up with the cancer. And then eventually my friends who got into a divorce and felt suicidal, but then they have started a new family. So
mm,
it is all about giving them positive vibes, and a lot of people in the process.
right.
So I believe that, and there is one segment in my top mate which where I technically take this thing. It is like confusion to clarity. So I do not say it as a life coach because I'm not a certified life coach, but it is more of like confusion to clarity. You have some confusion in life, right? So
Mm,
it could be related to relationships. There are a lot of mistakes people does, and that's what we were talking offline as well. um,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, those are the things, and people have lot many things to say. Like if you are in a circle, and a lot many people who would have their own opinions, which is fine, and we sometimes tend to take all the opinions, which is absolutely okay. But sometimes we are so much engrossed in those opinions that we
Mm,
forget that we have our own identity. It is all
mm,
about listening, understanding, and then mixing it up to your condition, and then implementing it. My condition would not be 100% same like yours or somebody else. So I can give you a perspective. You can understand that, grab it, and see how you can adjust it. It is like a same table can be placed at my bedroom or it can be
Hmm.
placed in your study room, right?
Hmm.
How my room is designed is completely different, but the table remains same. All I can say is that this table has this feature and this benefit. This is how you can utilize it. How
Hmm.
you utilize it is something which you need to evolve and think through. That's what I
Right.
do. And that has helped a lot many people.
Hmm. That's wonderfully said. I mean, no one can really, speculate right now that this is the very first time you have been an expert or someone else's podcast. So, firstly, congratulations to that. Okay, this is your first
Like,
podcast episode as an
yes.
expert, not as a host. Okay, so welcome. And apart from that, I have a follow-up question to that. The thing is, you mentioning about helping other people, and that's giving back to the society and doing those things, and it's really important nowadays. And like you mentioned that you helped out your sister, you helped out your brother and everyone in the family. Now the thing is, when you do that, okay, you sometimes have that sort of expectation that even other people are for me, okay, or
Hmm.
they would be there for me. Now sometimes that doesn't happen. Okay, so
Absolutely.
you try to understand everyone, but no one is able to understand you because you have empathy, but people, they don't have it. Okay, at certain point
Absolutely.
of time. How does that feel to you? Okay, because normally people do get frustrated being in that situation where they have empathy, but people don't have empathy towards them. So
Absolutely.
what's the thought process during that time, and has it ever happened to you? First of all.
I think it's one of the most common, most wonderful, and the most valid question to be asked,
Thank you.
specifically for people like me. Because yes, that does happen very often. You tend to do a lot of things for other people, but whenever you expect, you do not get the same kind of reciprocation. Now, having said that, when I was not very matured, I would say I was pretty matured even from my childhood days. But when I was not very matured, I used to feel very hurt that, I'm doing so much for them. And I used to take myself very seriously.
Hmm.
As and when life happened, and I saw so many things in life and understanding of life, then I realized that, you know, life is not to be taken very seriously. And specifically, you are not very important. So I do not consider myself very important, while being said that I am very important to myself. So I personally evolved in such a way, I have mentally evolved in such a way that I know I will be taking care of myself. And in the process, I am taking care of others. So how this work is that, so some people need validation for what they do.
Hmm.
I do not need or seek validation. I'm
Okay.
happy for the fact that if I'm helping someone, they are happy. So my happiness lies in their happiness, nothing in return. So when
Okay.
I develop that mindset, or perspective or shift of mind, but in terms of maturity or whatever you can say,
Hmm.
then I realized that I'm actually feeding myself with happiness. So it's like, okay, if you have a problem, let me solve it. You are happy because your problem is solved, but I am happy because your problem is solved through me. Getting my point?
Okay.
So
Hmm.
I am very happy. I'm not getting anything or not seeking anything in return. If you reciprocate in some other way, it's okay. If you cannot, it's absolutely fine. I know something or the other will happen. Second
Hmm.
point is, I truly believe that karma plays a very important role in someone's life.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's a boomerang thing, right? Whatever you do,
Hmm.
it will come back to you. So if
Right.
somebody yell at you, you will yell it back. And similarly, it happens if you are doing good thing, it will come back to you. If not for this from the same person, but through some other person.
Hmm.
And that has happened to me.
Hmm.
There was a time back in 2023 when my sister got diagnosed with cancer, and we did not have that much amount of money. Then I went through this public, crowdfunding route.
Hmm.
I cannot even tell you that there's a podcasting group that I am a part of and now an admin.
Hmm.
Those people in that group, generously donated for my sisters.
Wow.
And I've accumulated at least a decent amount so that the initial phase, which was very difficult and it came as a very surprise to the family, it
Mm,
got taken care of. A
mm,
lot of people posted stories, stuff like that. And these people are not known to me in person. I have
okay.
not received any single penny from my known people, but from the unknown people.
Mm,
And when I see or reflect back to that situation, I feel that it's such a blessing. And why did I, or maybe my sister, maybe it's a karmic thing?
mhm,
Secondly, it may be because I have never considered that, I'm giving it to you, so I need this back from you as well. No,
right.
I've given it with my whole heart. Please
Mm,
take it because I
mm,
enjoyed that process. Now, when a situation came in, I think God has taken a stand and actually helped me to pass through that situation.
yeah.
I feel that is wonderful. And when, even today as well, when I connect with my clients, what I feel is, money is secondary. Their
Mm,
satisfaction is utmost important to me. And I convey this to my clients as well that,
mm,
as long as you are happy, my remuneration is one first.
mm, mm,
Eventually, whatever you pay to me, even in my top mid session, I make sure. So I recently got credited for the highest rater. So, I mean, I have, I think around 34 bookings so far
mhm,
because I started last month only. All
mhm,
these 34 people have rated me 5 on 5. And
okay.
even the top mate, leadership has drafted me an email that, how you're doing this. It is like always 5 on 5. It's not
Right.
even 3.
Right.
It's not even 4, not even, it's
Mm,
always 5 on 5. Like you must be doing something good. I said that
mm,
I don't know. I only know is that I have to give value for whatever they are paying to me or whatever the time they are spending with me.
right.
So yeah, that's how I believe that, I've always trained myself. Having said that, of course, there would be some expectation from the people,
Mm,
but instead of having those expectations from them, I
mm,
try to help them understand that, why you are not doing it. It might be a bad thing for you because
mm,
eventually there would be a phase when you would attain that maturity. It could be my sister, it could be my brother, it could be my friends saying that, I understand. I don't care because I have evolved in such a way that I do not need any kind of that support.
right.
Having said that, not everyone can attain that stage in their mindset. And
Mm,
that point of time, it is very much essential for you to empathize. When
right.
you are getting the empathy, you should reciprocate. It's like हम कहते हैं हिंदी में अतिथि देवो भव क्यों बोलते हैं
Right.
बिकॉज हम उनको ग्रीट करेंगे सो दे विल गेट द सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ वैल्यू. Some people understand, some people doesn't, some people with time they understand, so it is completely up to them. But I am
Right.
very at my peace of mind that I am not seeking anything from them. Whatever is there in my life is through almighty, through the blessings, and everyone blessed me in that way. Because see,
Mm,
in a way, if I say, if I am helping you and
mm,
if it is actually getting to a solution, you are relieved. You
mm,
might not be giving me anything in terms of remuneration or thank you, whatever. You might be thankless person in on the face,
mm,
but deep down your soul, deep down your heart feels
yeah.
better. And when your
Mm,
heart feels better, when your soul feels better, there is a vibration that comes out, and
right.
that is a blessing. It
Mm,
might not be directly from your mouth, directly in terms of any way, but it is a blessing. So when you
correct.
do something good karma, you know that you have done it, right?
Mm,
You do not need any authentication. That is
mm,
marketing. You do not need to do that,
mm,
right?
right. Right.
So
Right. Right.
eventually it will come to you. So there is nothing that can stop you from getting that benefit when you are
Mm,
doing good. I strongly
wow.
believe that. I do not know how much correct or wrong I am, but that's how I strongly believe. And I think that has worked definitely for me.
Wonderful. I mean, I can completely relate with that because even I go into spiritual assemblies of Hinduism, and I do relate with that. Okay, strongly because and the way you said about karma, I believe that is literally written in our scriptures as well, that karma plays a
Yes.
very vital role, and that's something which I'm deeply resonating with as well. So Great thoughts, and I believe I have to take this conversation one more step ahead now. Okay,
Absolutely.
and to ask you, like, how is it only because of the maturity, but or you go into some sort of spiritual sessions, or do you read spiritual books, or what exactly it is, if I may ask?
Yeah. One thing is something that comes very naturally to me. So it
Mm,
was since I balanced my thought process. So I think that came natural to me. But having said that, it evolved over a period of time.
mm,
And I gave this credit to my family because I've seen my parents, they are very selflessly doing for everyone.
mm,
Though they, after a point, now they're old and they sometimes seek that, I should be getting in return. But I have seen them in their, I mean, the prime time when they were doing everything for everyone without expecting anything from them.
mm,
That something came again as a part of genetics, I would say.
mm,
Secondly, my, you know, upbringing is like that. I have always been guided by spiritual people. My grandmother was very spiritually aligned. My mother is very spiritually aligned. So
mm,
I think again, it is. I do not consider myself as very. I have gone through the scriptures and everything. Now I do definitely, but back in times I have never done that. But it was happening in such a way. I think Almighty has that plan that whenever you are sitting in a family environment,
mm.
my grandmother is talking about Ramayana. The lessons of Ramayana, Mahabharata,
Right, right.
and I come from a age where I'm a 1986 born, so
Mm,
it's the era where it is no television, it was only radio. So people used to
yeah,
gather, people used to talk, people used to share and knowledges and everything. And I, being a kid, was a spectator or maybe an audience for those people. And I
mm,
have learned so many things from them. Because when you listen to these grand people or grand people, as in like from age standpoint, grandmothers, friends, I never got a chance to meet my grandfather because he expired pretty early. But
mm,
yeah, grandmother's friend, and they used to come and they talk about life. And I was a person who always been very fascinated about stories, life stories, real
yeah,
life stories.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
used to listen and I was sitting and listening to them. And those lessons which they have accumulated in their 70 or 80 years of lifespan, I'm getting a piece of it at my initial stage, like 5 years, 6 years, till 15 years.
right,
It is such a blessing because your life is or your maturity get fast forward through their learning. And that's
yeah,
how I think why we went to Gurukul or maybe this schooling system, because if you can also learn on your own, because there are a lot of
mm,
street guys, right? I would say the beggars, they are like pretty smart, right? They're the
yeah,
street smart people.
yeah,
They've never been to school or colleges, but they
mm,
are street smart. You cannot fool them. They might not calculate things, but even now these days they can do pretty fast calculation than you do.
yeah,
You
yeah,
need a mobile for that, but they don't.
yeah,
But having said that, life taught them a lesson, right?
right,
But they have never been to school. When we say that
mm,
we have to go through a process, we need to go through school, that means number one, you need to get educated. Secondly, there is a structural method towards it. Thirdly, because if you have to figure it out on your own, you would spend 40, 50 years to reach to
yeah,
that level.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Imagine
right,
you do not know Pythagoras theorem. And
huh,
at a time when you need to figure that out and there is no one to guide you, you might read n number of books to understand that. And then you cannot directly jump into Pythagoras theorem. You have to understand the basics,
yeah,
alphabets and everything. So if you do it on your own, it takes hell lot of time, man. You cannot do that.
right,
And I would say it would be completely wrong because you would take inspiration or learning from somewhere or the other.
mm,
That's how, if you get a teaching from your elder ones and if you are very much passionate about, so I've been a student of life. I've always
mm,
learned from life. I'm a musician, I would say. I'm a singer. So I've never been to a singing school or something like that. But I have always, in my childhood days, I used to listen to Kishore Kumar, Kumar Sanu, Udit Naran, everyone, Sonu Nigam, and everything. And then that led me to a point that I can sing pretty well, if not
ah,
good, but yeah, pretty well. And people recognized me. And then initially they used to say, "Man, why you have not learned?" I said, yes, maybe not the theoretical knowledge, but I have definitely learned from these people. They are my gurus.
Right.
So you have to have that learning inclination. I think that has shaped my life a lot. I've
Hmm.
learned from that. Yeah. So that's something which helped me to attain the evolved version of my maturity. Even lot many people in my family are not that much evolved. I would say that because they only say this to me that, you are from a different zone altogether. I do not believe I am in a different zone. I feel this is very basic. But unfortunately, this basic is so lucrative these days that people do not get into the basics. It's like common sense is not
Yeah.
so common these days like
Common
that.
these days. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's well said. And I can, completely relate with the life lessons that we learn from others. It actually shortens the time to reach our goal. And I completely agree with that. And when you said about radio, I just went to my flashback and remembered all the things that we used to listen on radio, especially the cricket match. Okay, like it's happening
Yes.
live, but you
Yes.
you hear it on radio, right? And
Right.
I'm 93 born, but not a big age gap, I would say, just 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we I mean, at our times there were very little TV facilities. Okay, and
Absolutely.
the TVs were expensive in those days. Okay, so I can
Yes.
completely get that. And we had this huge dabba wala TV, and
Yeah.
we used to watch,
Yes.
and everyone was sitting together to watch. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
previously there were no Netflix apps or Prime Video or nothing like that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Previously the cable was one thing and you have to watch that. Okay, and
Absolutely.
everyone has to make sure that they are sitting in the hall to watch a TV. Okay,
Yes.
like no
Absolutely.
one can go individually to different room on and start their mobile phone and go on a particular streaming platform. You have to sit
Correct.
in the hall and you have to communicate with everyone. And I do remember I have watched Kyuki Saski Babhi Bahu Thi or
Right.
something like that.
कुटुम क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी कहानी घर घर की like that. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Because everyone has to watch. Even my father, my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, everyone has to watch because my grandmother and my mom has, like, they wanted to watch it. So everyone was watching. And
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
Tarak Mehta ka Ulta Chashma, right?
तारक मेहता का उल्टा चश्मा. Correct.
So I completely relate that when a family sits together, okay, they learn a lot of things from each other, and that really gives um, a great wisdom to each and every member who are sitting right over there. Okay, so that's
Absolutely.
fabulously told. And this is something where I can completely relate. And this is this is a good conversation going right now, and I can completely imagine how it is for you, okay, to actually share these stories, because I always ask impromptu questions and you come up with these amazing stories, and that's really nice, and I'm loving it right now.
Okay.
However, okay, transitioning towards
Mhm.
your different life, and that is your media production house. Okay,
Right.
now
Mhm.
being a corporate employee, okay, it's difficult to start a
Yeah.
new company. Okay, and for a middle class people like us, okay,
Absolutely.
it's more than difficult. Okay, because you have to look after your family.
Mhm.
Okay, and also you want to do something in your life, you want to grow a business. Okay,
Yeah.
so doing these two things hand in hand, it's not an easy task. Okay, both
Absolutely.
emotionally, I mean, all the three aspects, if I would say, then emotionally, socially, and financially, it's
Yes.
it's difficult.
It's very difficult.
Okay, so what was that process? Okay, when you did that, you mentioned to me that you actually stopped working and came back to your hometown, and then you were supporting your family, and
Yeah.
that's wonderful. But during that time where emotionally your family needs you, okay, but
Yes.
in your mind you have this idea of creating a new business.
Right.
What was the process during that time?
So I would say that, business is something which has always has a place in my heart. I
Hmm.
always wanted to do something of my own.
Hmm.
And I never knew what would I do or how we should go about it because I do not come from a business family. My father was a central government employee. He retired back in
Hmm.
years. But yeah, I never had that exposure.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do business, but at the same point of time, I wanted to know the world. I wanted to know how people behave, what all dynamics that goes on, all this kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
after my graduation, my father gave me a very lucrative deal. And because I come from a very small town, so here the only option you could make your career in either a business or maybe a central government employee. So
Right.
now what happened? Um, and during that period of time, my grandmother and my uncle expired. So my father felt very lonely. We always had this joint family structure, which I
Mm-hmm.
loved, by the way.
Yeah.
And so at that point of time, to hold me back, and I am a person who never afraid to take challenges. So I
Mm.
am probably the flag bearer of my family in terms of anything that I've done, be it like singing, etc., etc. We will come on that later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when it happened, my father said, "Okay, dude, I will give you a bike and I will get you a nice shop for yourself, a place where you can do your own business, but you need to stay here." And I was like, no, no way. I cannot do that because I have some other plans in my mind. And during that period of time, I got selected somewhere. Um, Somehow, I do not know. And that was an interesting story as well. But I got selected in IBM, and
Okay.
it's a huge name. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I need to get to that job, and I need to. And that job was in Delhi. Of course, nobody ever applied in Delhi at that point of time from my family. So it was pretty scary for them. I said that it's okay. I wanted to try. And they have selected me for some reason. So let me just go and explore. And
Yeah.
there's like, no, it's a capital. And being a small town people, you do have those apprehensions. And
Yeah.
specifically, you do not have any relatives and stuff like that. I said, it's okay. Even I am scared,
Mm-hmm.
because no, I cannot get any guidance from anyone, because nobody in my family has gone through to that level. So let me
Mm-hmm.
just do one thing. Let me just get two tickets. One is my departure and one is my return. Okay. And in between, I will try and survive. So give me some pocket money. So
Mm-hmm.
it will happen in two ways. So I was very calculative. Either I would be cracking it, then I'll stay and I will cancel the return ticket. If I
Mm-hmm.
cannot crack it within this period of time, I'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how my journey began. And I started. And then when my first salary came in, I said that, I'm canceling the ticket and I'm staying in there. The only reason why I did that was to cross check my ability, my understanding of life. I wanted to challenge myself that, am I the person who always needs support from their parents? I never took that support from my parents, by the way, except the monetary one, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I have explored on my own. I
Mm-hmm.
come from a vernacular medium. I started, my job in an English, and it's like English speaking was so difficult at the point of time. I had this
Yeah.
MTI and stuff like that, and you had to deal with the international clients. I was like, hell, man. But I was so determined that, I would be doing that at any given point of time. I
Mm-hmm.
would make sure that I'm cracking it up. That's how it started. But back in my mind, definitely, I had this thought process that, when you are in your job, you are limiting yourself, or maybe you are exploring a lot of things. But the overall structure is such, specifically in India, maybe I'm wrong. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to some extent, it is so structured in such a way that it will, after a point, will not let you go grow. That
Mm-hmm.
happened with me as well. But I was pretty fast in terms of promotions and everything. I was the youngest manager and
Yeah.
stuff like that happened. But after a point, I felt so monotonous in terms of, what I wanted to do. Because when I
Mm-hmm.
join an organization, I do not see it from the perspective that, I'm getting my job done, I'm getting the salary paid. I
Mm-hmm.
always think through that how the organization can make profit. That is
Mm-hmm.
always in my mind. But
Right.
unfortunately, the structure is such in organization is that they're not that open for those kind of conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
To an extent, yes, but not after an extent. So
Mm-hmm.
I had that constant debate with myself that, am I doing it right? And there is no proper feedback. So when we talk about in corporate culture, we need feedback to grow, etc., etc. But then there are people who are giving you feedback who themselves are not aware what their feedback is given.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those kind of things happen, and that kind of, push you down in a way, pull you down,
Mm-hmm.
push you down, whatever you say. That happened. So I felt that, okay, let me just explore. And then maybe the God has this plan that this medical thing happened. And I had to quit. I had no other choice. I had to quit. I'm the eldest son in the family. So I had to come and take care of everything. I
Hmm.
came back. I took care of everything. In the process, I was also appearing for interviews and stuff like that. But I was thinking like, okay, I'm giving interviews. Every interviews was fantabulous, amazing. They shortlist me, they put me in the final, and then boom, it was like, the position went on hold because of the market structure. The position went on hold. I was like, what is
Okay.
happening, man? Either they reject me, then I would have felt like, okay, I need to improve. But it was like every interview
Hmm.
that I gave, and I take that pride on myself that till date, since 2007, when I first cracked IBM, I've never got rejected for any interview. It
Hmm.
got rejected definitely for some or the other reason. Maybe the position was on hold. Maybe there is internal IJP, so somebody got selected because they were the preference like
Correct.
that. But nobody
Correct.
said that this is your fault or maybe you need to improve on that.
Correct.
So there I was also thinking like, what am I doing wrong? I mean, if I'm doing absolutely fine, then why something is stopping myself?
Hmm.
Then I thought, okay, it's enough. I'll definitely give the interviews and stuff like that. But it is, I think, the kind of mindset I have, I can work on building my own company.
Right.
That's how the podcast, I started with the podcasting. I was already creating content, not to that scale, but I was impacting. So my thought process as a business or maybe as an individual is like that. I do not go for quantity. I always go for quality. So I
Right.
believe that if you are talking to me, if you get some value out of that, I'm
Hmm.
happy. Rather than I'm talking to 1,000 people, nobody getting any shit out of me. But if I'm talking to one person and getting maximum value, so that's what I always aspire for, and that's how I started. And my podcast, Audibles of Life, got a very good response. I would not say the super hit or something like that, but very good response.
Right.
When I say very good response, like every podcast is like, being a beginner, I'm getting at least 100 plays, which is a huge thing for me
Huge thing.
on
Yeah.
an
Yeah. Yeah.
average. And being a podcaster, you can understand that, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, and people are praising my my articulation, how I'm explaining life. And through that, actually, I also explored this life thing because I'm
Hmm.
talking about life in that particular podcast.
Hmm.
In that process, people came up to me saying that, I'm finding it so challenging and stuff like that. Then I started helping them. I started helping them in technicalities. I started helping them with like what mics they should be using, how they should be strategizing, because
Hmm.
this is how. Then one person saying that, I followed everything that you said. It worked wonderfully for me. I was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And then you're like, the tips and tricks or the strategies that you shared, it worked wonderfully for me. I was like, okay, great. That's how I started taking sessions. Those were completely free sessions in Discord. And people were getting so much benefit out of it. People were calling me, messaging me all the time. And then there were like so good people out there. They called me and said that,
Hmm.
Pijush, you are doing such a wonderful job. You are making lives of the people. Why
Right.
can't you start it as a paid thing? Because I think you should be remunerated for that. I was like, I've never given it a thought.
Hmm.
I'm looking for my job and stuff like that. And they were like, it's okay, you can still do that, but why don't you start it as a like a side gig? There is no harm in that, right?
Hmm.
And like, yeah, let me just give it a thought. And boom, that's the day. And I started, and people started crazily booking my services. They contact me. They're like anytime. And even when they call me over a call, and I remember, Aditya, you also said this, like there was a time when you called me up and I gave you so
Yeah.
many tips. You're like, oh my God, I need to have this conversation
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
that's how my intention was, that I
Right.
will always try to give value.
Hmm.
That's how I met Neeraj as well. And when I met Neeraj, we were having this conversation, and he mentioned that, I was thinking of this thing. I was like, oh my God, I think again, the universe has some plan. So I said, like, even I had this thought process. Why don't we
Right.
start together?
Right.
And that's how we started. We funded this company, and we have this wonderful people supporting us, creating podcasts, creating and supporting client. So we started off with two corporate clients, and then eventually with other people, hopefully. The discussions around, and a lot of people who met with both of us instead
Hmm.
said that, the kind of clarity, the kind of value that you guys bring in, it was, absolutely amazing. It's
Mm.
just a matter of time that you guys would shine like anything.
Mhm.
I felt so good about it. It's like, oh my God, it's something which you are waking up every day, you are doing, you're working your ass off, and then you are getting a compliment, and people are
Mm.
actually happy for what you do.
Right.
So you get that fulfillment. And
Mm.
I think as a podcaster, you also feel that, we get
Yeah.
enriched by the conversation. We
Yes, yes,
love that,
yes. For sure, for
right?
sure.
So that's how
Yeah.
I thought, okay, why don't we start doing this? And that's how the company and everything started.
Yeah, I can completely, understand that, I would say, because when people give their feedbacks and reviews, and when they are positive ones, it definitely gives a different level of satisfaction. And I can completely get that. And the smile on your face says it all. You
Yes.
you rarely smile on a podcast, I feel, but this was a smile was worth it. So definitely. And people might be saying you that you are matured. I feel you are, because your face expressions doesn't move much, but that's pretty amazing, honestly. So uh, you are definitely a great person, I would say. And by the talks which we are having right now, and it's very raw. It's like I'm just coming out with the questions based on your answers, and it does feel good. However, okay, now
Yeah.
let us talk more about adding values in people's life. Okay,
Yeah.
so there are two questions today from the
Yeah.
community members. So all the listeners out there, I would like to tell you again that we have a WhatsApp community. Okay, and every time whenever an expert comes on the show, I share with them about this amazing experts who are coming on the show. Okay, so and they ask questions, and the same thing can be done by you guys. Okay, all you can do is you can come on that community, join the community, and you can DM me your questions, and I'll be asking questions on behalf of you. How amazing is that, right? So, the first question from the community, Pijush, the person's name is Prashant. Okay, he has asked
Okay.
this question that he has, this amazing brand of clothing industry. Okay,
Okay.
I believe he has read about the media production company and all the other things which you do. Now he
Hmm.
says, I'm eagerly trying newer things on Instagram, but it doesn't work. Okay,
Hmm.
and somewhere I need to understand the algorithm of the social media so that I can grow. Okay,
Hmm.
my Instagram account is from last 2 years, and still I haven't crossed 600 followers. So currently it is at 582, which he says.
Okay. Okay.
So what tips would you like to give to him?
Candidly, I would say that please connect with Social Symphony and we will help you through that. But yeah, I mean, so I think as a social media is a medium like which is very unpredictable at times. It is completely algorithm driven and the algorithm keep on changing. So first thing is we need to understand what we need,
Mhm.
what is our goal, and how we can place it as a strategy so that we are achieving the desired result, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Without seeing the account, I cannot comment much, but it is most of the thing that people do. So slight things which matters a lot is the timing, how you
Hmm.
interacting, what you are posting, how you are posting it. When we say how we are posting it, it's like, end of the day, it is all about audience attention.
Hmm.
If the audience attention is more than 40% of your content, then it will have a chance to grow, and eventually you need to ensure that the engagement rate is more than 40%, 50%, like that. And if it is going to that trajectory, then you are in the right path.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you will struggle a lot to achieve that.
Right.
uh, I personally even do not have much followers because I do not care what I am posting. I sometimes randomly post my podcast clips. Sometimes I put my singing clips. Sometimes I put a photograph.
Hmm.
That doesn't work. And that
Hmm.
doesn't work for me either. But when I'm working for a client, I
Hmm.
make sure that whatever I'm putting forward for the
Hmm.
audience, it has
Hmm.
to have a story. It has to resonate with their niche client. So,
Right.
as a clothing brand, I think that is how you need to understand where exactly your potential client is or potential audience is, what they want to see, what is their pain areas, what
Mm,
what is the reason why they should be looking at your channel or your platform, so that, and what is the resolution you are getting, right? So
right.
if they find that, okay, this is a, a wonderful budget products, then they would listen to you. If they see that it's a wonderful premium products, then also they would check out your profile. If they see that, this is a particular type of product they are placing in the market. So I'll give you an example of boat, right? We
Mm,
had JBL, etc., 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 so huge brand, Harman Kardon, etc. When the boat came into picture, they placed themselves as a budget segment but budget killer.
mm,
I still remember the Boat headphone that I used to have. It has a huge bass, and it kind of like, oh my god, how can you get so much bass in like 400 rupees earbud?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But they used to provide that. Whereas JBL was charging 2000 rupees, they used to charge 500 rupees. That's how slowly they have captured the market. And now
Correct.
you see Boat products are everywhere,
Right,
right?
right.
So it is a strategy they have played very smartly. So how you strategically placed yourself in the market makes a
Mm,
lot of difference.
right,
And with the social media, it makes life so easy. I mean,
right.
there is nothing wrong with the social media unless and until you do something pretty wrong and you go haywire. But
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah,
everything will work in your favor, because you never know what will strike to your audience, at what point of time you will get that view or the visibility.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think you need to strategize, plan yourself, decide what you want, how you want it. And if something is not working, then change the plan. But again, you have to plan it for some period of time to see the result. If it is
Right,
not working, because a lot of people feel that, oh, it's not working for me, I'll just quit.
right.
A lot of people shift their focus from one platform to another. So we need to
Mm,
focus on one platform at a time. If your focus is on Instagram, then focus completely on Instagram at this point of time, and you will eventually grow. Consistency is the key. Your strategy is the key. You need to interact with your audience through stories, through your whatever post that is. Your reels should have, in such a way, it should be edited in such a way that it is telling your stories. It should not be very raw, because you are a brand.
mm,
So there is a difference, like how you portray yourself, and
right.
then accordingly how you interact. If you are, somebody is reaching out to you, then are you connecting with them, are you engaging with them?
Mm,
They feel good, right? So
mm,
any conversation could be a potential lead. Tomorrow
mm,
it could be a potential customer. So you need to
right.
encourage. And I always believe that, and this is the ending statement of your question or answer, is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I always believe, even if you have 200 consumer, but if you have a repetitive consumer, I mean, they come repetitively to you,
Mm,
that is much beneficial than, having 1,000 people, like, but they will purchase one time, they will not give you the feedback.
correct.
200 people come back to you every now and then and giving you the feedback, and eventually that numbers is maybe raising slowly, but you
Mm,
know that you have a potential client base of that much. So numbers definitely matters, but genuine numbers. You have 2,000 followers, 5,000 followers, but when you post something, you get only 50 likes or 50 comments. Doesn't
mm,
make sense. You
yeah, yeah.
have 200 followers, but whenever you post, those 200 people definitely make sure to comment or engage with your post, means you have a wonderful audience. It's just
Right.
that with time, it will grow and it will give you a lot of benefits that you are aspiring for. I hope this helps.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Pijush, for answering that. And I believe this is something which every one of us has to understand. And also, I mean, nowadays there are lots and lots of bots followers which you can remove on
Yes.
Instagram, who are just going to follow you and not comment or like your post. I did that few days back, and my followers dropped from 4,000 to somewhere around 2,500. So, and
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even know that those are the bots who are following you, right? So, you can also do that, and that's really gonna help. But this is for the large audience, not for Prashant. Prashant, I mean, whatever tips has been given by Pijush, I believe that's really going to help you. But if you need more help, you can always get connected to his TopMet account, and I'm sure he'll be happy to help you. I'll mention all the link in the description. With that being said, going ahead with the second question of the community member. Now, this has been asked by Saloni. Saloni wants to start a Gujarati podcast. Okay.
Okay.
And she's someone who is very eager to start a podcast, but at the same time, she is afraid as well. Like, she doesn't know how people are going to react to it. But she is a great writer, great content writer. Okay. And somehow she wants to start a podcast. So, what would be your opinion to that?
First of all, I would say that Saloni, wonderful thought process, but should not be limiting yourself in the fear of like what log kya kahenge. Log to कहते रहते हैं. उसका
Yeah.
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ना चाहिए. So I think again, Gujarati podcast is a niche because you would have a niche audience. So we all do podcast in different languages, right?
Mhm.
Primarily English or maybe Hindi to get more audience. But when we talk about niche audience, like specific mother language people, like I could do an Assamese podcast, I could do a Bengali podcast because I am an Assamese Bengali. Uh, Having said that, if that area is untapped by other creator, then it has lot more opportunities for you.
Right.
The crowd is pretty less, right? Whatever you do, you are the brand and people would listen to you. So
Mm.
forget about what people would say, people would do. There are certain best practices. Being a writer, I think you are already writing wonderfully. So your podcast would naturally come very beautifully. You need to articulate whatever you are writing from your heart. That's it, because it's a heart to heart conversation. It's a medium of audio, unless and
Right.
until you do it as a video. But even
Mm.
if you do so, I think a video is meaningless without audio, right? No matter how much expression you do,
Mm.
unless and until you have that articulation in your voice. So I think that is very important. And of course, the production quality, because the more the production quality is, the more people would connect and feel good about it because it's an
Right.
experience. But I think there is nothing to stop yourself from. I mean, please go ahead and start it. Again, if you need any help, I'm there. Just feel free to connect with me. But yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful thought process. Yes, you need to find out your niche definitely. Like on what topic? Like, for example, Aditya is doing this podcast as a personality development, and you get a lot of insights of how persons are doing and stuff like that. Mine is all about life and life thing, right? So everyone has their own niche. So find out your niche which you need to work upon, or maybe you want to work as a starting podcast. It could have season one in one different niche, season two in different niche. So that is fine. But at least start with a niche. So that would be my advice to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Saloni and Prashant, for asking these amazing questions. And for all the audience out there, I really feel I should say this, that no questions are silly for this podcast. Okay. So you can ask any sort of question, and the experts who come on the show are very happy to answer those questions. So make sure to freely ask your questions. I really, I forgot the word. I really insist that you ask questions. Okay. With that
Yes,
being
definitely.
said, Pijush, Pijush, this has been a wonderful time. I mean, I was just looking at the clock for a while, and what I realized is that it has been more than 40 minutes till we are having this conversation, and it doesn't feel like 40 minutes for sure. But
Yes, yes.
you see, every good thing has to end somewhere, so that the new thing can be started. So of course,
Definitely.
I'm going to call you for part two, and we are going to have a blast in that as well. But
Definitely.
any lasting message which you would like to give to the audience?
I think, first of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me and having this conversation. First of all, I am truly happy the way you are conducting it. You're connecting with your audience, you're getting their questions, which is a wonderful thought process because, again, I believe that engagement matters. And no matter the numbers is, but the engagement matters. So, yeah, I definitely encourage everyone to, ask question because no question is a silly question. I truly believe that. And it feels good. Yeah. Like that you've been heard, you've been listened to. So that's one. Secondly, I'm also part of your community. So I actively see and listen to the podcast. Other guest people comes in. So I thoroughly enjoy that. So I hope other people who are listening to this podcast would definitely take something as a value. I am so honored. And yeah, I mean, this is my first podcast, so yeah, I'm equally nervous. I don't know, but yeah, I hope that I did a good job, and yeah, Let's see. I look forward to that and even more things to come. And I would definitely look forward to the comments, whatever that your community members share on this podcast.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And let me tell you one thing, Pijush. I never felt at any point of time that you were nervous. So either you are a good cover up artist or you are just a natural speaker. So I believe the second option is more better. Uh, so that's that. And people, all I would do is I would suggest you to follow him on Instagram and on various other platforms. I'll mention all the link in the description. So all you have to do is just click on it. So you are just a click away from Pijush, right? So make sure to do connect with him and do mention him that you have listened to him on Personality Development Podcast, because that's how you are going to get a priority reply. I hope Pijush that's fine. I didn't ask you that, but
No, no,
it's fine,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, audience, you heard him. So, make sure to connect with him. With that being said, this is Aditya Mehta along with Pijush Singha signing off from this episode. See you in the next one. Till then, peace out.